So I have this single playing card right here. Now we're gonna try to do something. I want you to try to imagine that if I took it and I shook it, we could try to actually try to make the entire deck row. See, just like that, we could get the entire deck back. Now, the reason that I did that trick at the beginning is because people are going to complain and say that this is a magic channel, but I honestly don't care. I have to talk about this because this is still had to do with my childhood and ruining everyone else's childhood beyond this point. Now, this is not the first time that Tom and Jerry have been put into a movie. Also, on top of that, there's another video I did a few months ago when the trailer came out and I was completely mortified. And all I have to say is that I was completely correct about what happened. But I have some notes right here. So my girlfriend and I sat down, we watched this movie last night, and I knew it was going to be awful. It just looked terrible, and it was just, yeah. It's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was boring, which I expected. It was, the animation, I still did not like it. I had this really weird, it was just odd. It was like they wanted to do a 3D. I'm pretty sure they probably were going like in a Sonic the Hedgehog, and they wanted to give him like realistic fur, and then they got rid of it, or they just didn't finish rendering it, and then they wanted to do like a 2D like Space Jam type thing, but so they went in and got this weird half-assed amalgamation that just doesn't look good at all. It just looks like a worse version of the beta Jimmy Neutron pilot. Have you ever seen that, where his head is just a fucking big block? So I actually wrote down some notes because I'm just gonna go and just fire through this entire thing. So this before I go in and I start complaining about a bunch of stuff, of things that I did like, there were two. There's actually a really good joke that was subtle. It was in the background and it's mostly for adults, kind of. Also, if you saw the movie, there's like a Joker joke in the movie, and like if you don't pay attention, you'll miss it. But I haven't really seen anything in the background that really pointed out like that. The only other thing I saw that Tom was using like an Acme chainsaw. That's the only other joke that you kind of got to pay attention to. And also if you watch the original show, that's really the only two jokes. But the Joker one was actually pretty good. And every other joke, probably every like 15 to 20 minutes, I'll just go. that was literally it. So there's some scenes where there's an angel and a devil on Tom's shoulders trying to tell him what to do. Also, they're voice acted, but also thank God Tom and Jerry do not speak at all. At least they got that part right, and it really does look like Tom and Jerry. And also, I'm just gonna go through and spoil this. You're gonna watch it or you're not going to watch it. But yeah, there's cameos like Spike's in this. I don't know if his girlfriend, not really his girlfriend, his thought is E-Thought. I don't even know what her name. The female cat that wears the big ass bow. She's in this movie, but her character isn't what her character was like in the show. She kind of just walked around and kind of like teased Tom on, but in this movie she kind of wants to like eat Jerry too. She's just a generic cat that wants to attack him. Also, Spike wants to attack Jerry, which is really weird. He also beats up Tom, which is a thing he does, but he beats up Jerry for some reason. He always protects him. But yeah, but his son's not in it, which is oddly enough. And the biggest problem, so I'm just gonna be all over the place. I really don't care. So with this, so the animation in this movie is just, it's super awkward. So you have this realistic world meshing with this cartoon world. The thing is with Space Jam, and the thing with Space Jam is that like the entire movie was treated as a cartoon, so that kind of made it work in the same universe. But it's like, and the humans and the animals, at least I would give the movie this also. Like, have you ever watched like a movie where like some animals could speak, like Alvin and the Chipmunks, and then like have cats and things like that just act like cats, which don't make sense. At least this movie, every single animal is animated. Like someone will be walking their dog and it looks like a cartoon dog. It looks like shit, but at least there's consistency in this universe. And there's a bunch of different animals and butterflies and stuff like that, all completely animated. But the biggest problem with this movie is that the human world, or the humans, just act like it's a normal human world. I could take this pen and just throw it at the camera, and it'll fall like a pen. But if Tom and Jerry pick something up, it does it like a cartoon. And when they're running around a room, I'm just imagining if their CG was just removed, it's just shit moving and being thrown around. But nothing really acts like a cartoon. It looks and feels and just does everything physically, which makes it a lot less funny. It's just not as good. This the way how I kind of imagined it, if it was gonna the way they should have did it was kind of like Mouse Hunt. I don't know why they didn't get that director. That Mouse Hunt, at least there's no cartoon like animals or anything in the, actually no, the mouse is a CG mouse, but the entire movie is treated like an entire cartoon, so the entire world works in that way, where everything has to be a cartoon. You can't have this section a cartoon and then this a realistic, like those weird Dr. Seuss movies. I don't know, like Cat in the Hat. I hate this when movies do this, when they have a trailer for a film and there's scenes in the trailer that are just not in the movie. There's a scene where like Tom gets hit by a bus. Doesn't happen in a movie, that's just made for the trailer. Also, in the show, like when you watch it, usually Jerry kind of just shows up and just wants to get something, and Tom just wants to attack him. And then sometimes Jerry's the aggressor, sometimes Tom's the aggressor, and sometimes it goes back and forth. But usually it's Tom is always the aggressor. I would say like 75% of the time, but Jerry kind of just like makes fun of him or does it to protect himself. But in this movie, they kind of make Jerry the bad guy. He kind of makes Tom lose all of his money. He steals a ring from, oh yeah, there's also some shit, a bunch of shit about a wedding going on with some famous people, and there's some cringe fucking lines that they say. Like, one of them has like for some reason, it made me think of Casey Neistat, because it's in New York City, and they have one of those power boards. I don't know what you call them. The boards with the remote, and like either, oh, there's Wi-Fi on this board. They're like, oh, why is there Wi-Fi on this board? And the husband goes, Wi-Fi not. I just wanted to die at that point. And Chloe Grace Moretz, she's in this movie, and I almost gotta say she's trying. I would say she's trying. Every word of dialogue out of her mouth is just awful. It's annoying, and she's kind of an awful person too. There's like no really good people in this movie. They kind of just beat up on Tom for no reason. Chloe Grace Moretz, like, she quits a job and then she goes into a hotel, I'm assuming for like free food, because when she gets to the door, I don't know what you call them, the bus boys or the guy who opens the door, he doesn't really open doors, she kind of just stands there. He probably just brings luggage in. He's like, oh, you're here to get more free food or whatever. And as a woman that came all the way from London to work at this hotel, and then Chloe Grace Moretz steals the job from the British woman, because the British woman's kind of being like a bitch a little bit, but she steals the job from a woman who flew all the way across the world to get a job for the weekend. And I guess because there was this big couple coming in, the celebrity couple was coming in to have their wedding at that hotel, so they were hiring someone for that weekend to do the wedding. It's stupid, it's dumb, because it doesn't make any sense. Why would you hire someone brand new to get a really high class wedding done for the weekend and then try to keep them on? Don't you want to hire someone like a month or like a few months prior? It just didn't make any sense. Also, the reason that they have the husband and wife, or the fiancés, in this movie is to have an excuse to have Spike and the female mouse and the female cat in this movie, and the alley cats are in this too. And the funny thing about the alley cats, or that all black cat, this is gonna sound extremely wrong to some people, but I'm just gonna say they sound kind of a little urban. And there's a few people in this movie that you listen to their voice, also Tom's angel and demon, they sound kind of there's nothing wrong with it, they just sounded black. And this sounds so fucking racist, but if you watch the movie, I'm watching the movie and I'm hearing like there's a lot of like black voice actors in the movie. Like, I can tell through their voice.
Some guy named Greg called for you. He said your car's gonna be ready in 3 weeks.
3 weeks? On the phone he said a couple of days.
Oh, wow.
Did he sound like he was ticked off?
No, he just sounded like some random black dude who's calling about your car.
How do you know he's black?
I know how black people sound.
You could tell that guy was black?
Fuck yeah, instantly.
Wow.
3 words, bam.
And I'm watching it, and there's a scene when they're doing the wedding or the wedding reception or something, and they're playing Jagged Edge's Let's Get Married. And I'm just like, only, like, you have to be someone, like, in their 40s or 50s, black, to only know that song, honestly. It's like, I know that sounds incredibly racist, but honestly, it's the honest truth. Like, only black people really know that song. And I googled the director. This is a guy who also directed Fantastic Four 1 and The Silver Surfer. So he did both Fantastic Four movies and like Taxi and a couple other things, other kids movies. So yeah, I was actually not wrong. And I think like the Alley Cats were played by like rappers or something. It was like some group name that sounded like a rap. Also, in this movie, there's like also another thing on top of that that I knew that the director was black, was that there's a lot of like early 2000s and like 90s like R&B music. There's a bunch of trap music in this, and there's also like it's none of the original music's in it. I don't think they even play the Tom and Jerry theme. It's really just like trap music and pop music and R&B. That's kind of it. And I don't think kids are going to really care for this movie. It's because that the slapstick just doesn't work. It's like what I was saying earlier. It's just like the world that they're in is so realistic that none of the impact, it felt like a very censored or held back version, because like I actually went and on HBO, funny enough, they have all the Tom and Jerry, or most Tom and Jerry episodes on HBO Max, which is where Tom and movie is on. So there's a lot of them on there, and I watched like the first like 5 or 6 episodes, and they're way more violent than anything in this movie, like tenfold. A television show from like the 40s, or it's way violent. The one cameo I wanted to see, which I probably will never get because the world hates me, is Mamie Two Shoes. I'm kidding, because I've already made that black joke. Also, I was saying Chloe Grace Moretz was trying, but the person that just, oh my god, he just looked like he didn't want to fucking be there. He just looked like, I just want to go home. Michael Pena just, he's always trying in his movies, even if it's a piece of shit, but this one, he just looks like he did not want to be there. He just wanted that check and to just go and bounce. I don't know if that was a pun not intended, I guess. Also, tracking back, god, I'm all over the place. Going back to what I said earlier is that the kids are not going to enjoy this, because it's literally boring dialogue about some girl trying to get a job to prove herself, but she stole the job from someone else, and there's a wedding going on about this famous couple that are visiting New York, and they want to have a good wedding. And like literally, I swear to god, I am not joking, it's literally like they would have some stupid dialogue about her flirting with some fuckboy. That dude looks like Jamari Speaks, the YouTuber. She's talking to him about something, and then they'll intercut it with the animals fighting each other. So the best way to describe those scenes is kind of like if I was talking to you guys about this movie, and then I literally had a clip from the original show just playing right there. It's like a reaction video, and I'm talking to you about something. Like, I could literally pick up this chapstick, and it's literally just a chapstick, and it says skin protectant, sunscreen, broad spectrum, SPF 15, 8-hour moisture. Yeah, oh, this is from Pfizer, marketed by Pfizer. So yeah, and then there's just gonna be a scene of Tom and Jerry here just fighting, and we're just not gonna pay attention to it, and we're gonna wait like 2-3 minutes. They're gonna break something, and then I'm gonna turn around and be like, oh shit, they broke it. That's the entire movie. And it's still not making sense when you have these movies at these massive properties. Is that, okay, it's called Transformers, it's called Alvin and the Chipmunks, it's called Tom and Jerry, and they always focus on some stupid human that you don't give a shit about. I don't get it. They constantly do this. But yes, that is my rant over. It's honestly, it's not the worst movie in the world. It's not one of the worst adaptations. It's one of those movies that you put on for your kids and you forget, and that's kind of it. It's not as bad as like 9 Lives. 9 Lives is way worse. It's like an hour and a half, but it feels like a 4-hour movie. Not even exaggerating. That movie's just, it's mind-numbingly boring. At least with this one, it has like cringe elements that you can kind of laugh at in this movie. Honestly, yeah, it didn't really destroy my childhood at all. Like, Tom and Jerry still exist anyway, so yeah. Bye.